So, hello, Gulara. Nice
Oh,
to
sorry.
see you.
Thank you so much for making time to speak with me.
Oh, and thank you for making the time. And let's dive right into it. I am very curious to hear about your journey. And I know you work with healing, but I would love to hear more about your approach
Sure.
and why. Why are you doing what you do?
I'm a university law lecturer turned a successful healer with a thriving business. I work with healers, practitioners, therapists, and I have developed my own intergenerational trauma healing method where we go to the root of whatever problem a client may bring to us. So, what we do in that method is to heal karmic roots to some of the issues we might be facing, ancestral, even going back to the womb and healing any parental energies that we might be carrying. And it's kind of draining our energy because we're pulled in different directions. So, those are the four processes I've designed and I teach to practitioners. My journey I come originally from Azerbaijan and I come with so much trauma. I've written two memoirs about some of my journey. And I've done a lot of work over the years, but I felt like it wasn't quite shifting fully
Mhm.
until I started doing much deeper work, going back to the ancestral roots and releasing what I've been carrying for my lineage, for my family. And the reason I do it, I've been doing a lot of healing before anyway, but when my kids arrived, I felt like I want this to stop with me. I don't want to pass on to them things that
Yeah.
I've been carrying. And so that's my big why and some of my journey with healing.
It's so beautiful. And I really connect with this feeling that you've been carrying trauma. And it's like, no, that's enough. I'm not going to let my children carry this on.
Absolutely.
And I relate because through my shamanic healing studying and work, I know like this ancestor thing, and which is so interesting. And science is also showing more, proving more and more how the body carries it between DNA and everything.
Yes, yes. Scientists suggest that we carry up to 7 generations of ancestral information in our DNA. Just think about famines and wars and hardship and illnesses that our ancestors lived through, and some of it is coded at a deeply unconscious level. We don't necessarily even know it there. Plus, all the stories and limiting beliefs that came through our parents and grandparents that somehow consciously imprinted as well. And so it's such a rich, fertile ground for releasing stuff that we don't really need. It's just the
No.
impulse to belong and
Mm,
to be loyal to the system goes so deep. I, in my healing work, I combine many different approaches, and one of them is family constellations. And it's incredible how loyal we are to our family system. We may not like it. We may even try to go against what they've done, but somewhere in the way in our makeup, the way we are built at a subconscious level, we are still staying loyal to that system until we consciously choose differently.
yeah, it's a blood relation. Somehow this loyalty that you stand by your parents, ancestors, or family, right?
Yes. And it's kind of, if you think about evolutionary need for belonging, is that if we were
Mm.
not part of the tribe, we couldn't survive. And so this
Hmm.
need to be part of the tribe is so inbuilt into our structure that it's
Hmm.
very hard to step away. But the beauty of that work is that when you break that chain,
Hmm.
you do it for yourself, but also you do it 7 generations forward. So you free the 7 generations back and 7 generations forward.
Voila. Yeah. I'm sure many would love to have that relief and release this. But tell me, maybe because some people listening to this might not understand. So what happens? So could you describe like a one of your clients' journey or your journey, the transformation that happens,
Sure.
and
So,
how it starts, and how do you see it in your life as you have this problem or have this weight,
mhm.
and what changes?
I'll take a small example. So when I
Mm,
started my healing journey, I had these three brackets of pricing. So I would charge 50 for a regular session, 80 for something a bit longer and complex, and 100 for something exceptional, right? And I couldn't break away from that pricing. I tried all sorts of programs, how do I change my pricing? And it just was stuck until I realized that my grandmother, who was a seamstress, so she worked from home, she had her own little business, and she used to charge 50 for a regular dress, 80 for something complex, and 100
100.
for a wedding dress.
No kidding. That is interesting.
And once that became clear for me, releasing that programming, that subconscious loyalty to her, that I just couldn't outgrow her, no matter how hard
Hmm.
I tried. That until I released that loyalty, and I still feel loyal towards my grandma, but not in that way, right? And
No, you don't
all
have to stick to her prices anymore.
exactly. All the programming around working hard. And because I grew up to see how hard she had to work to make that money. And somewhere in my own practice, it manifested in the same way. And so once I released that, then I could charge much higher prices. And there wasn't this sense of, oh, I have to work really hard for this now because I'm making
Hmm.
this money. So that's just a small example how it can be so insidious. You won't necessarily even see how it plays out. So yesterday I was working, I do a lot of work on myself. I walk my talk, but I was doing this. I have a launch coming up, and I have one particular challenge where I will do the healing, I will share all I've got with the audience. But when it comes to selling, and you know how, for example, Sigrun does this fantastic job where she will walk you through the sales page and I'll show you what's included and all the details. Now, I struggle with that part. And so I thought, okay, what is it that stops me? And so I went and looked at it, and actually, what was underneath is some old shame from my school years. I remember we were so poor. There was the time when my shoes fell apart. I was a teenager,
Mm.
and I had to wear my grandmother's shoes to school for a week. Okay, so as a teenager, it was a pretty big thing, and my grandmother's shoes were not pretty.
In her shoes.
And so
Okay.
somewhere subconsciously, I was projecting that experience onto my sales pages. I just didn't feel proud of them. I felt like, well, I've made them myself. They're DIY. They're not as glossy and beautiful as other people's sales pages. They shout about their work from the rooftops because they've got all this presentation and packaging, and my packaging somehow wasn't as glossy. And so once I see it, it's just like, oh, that's so silly. Like, really doesn't have to say.
And I mean, how, I'm guess I mean, it's such a good example because I mean, it's not traumatic, it's
Mhm.
practical,
Yeah,
and but because in some cases you could have problems that are very emotional,
sure.
but like you see it,
Hmm.
and is that enough? I mean, sometimes we just really know, okay, this is not the way, this is my pattern, da, 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 we
Yes.
know, but we still do it. So
Yeah.
how do you
Like
get it out?
once you see it, that's half of the journey, right? Like
Hmm.
you are not being it because it's not running you subconsciously.
Taking it, yeah.
But once you see it, then it does need some healing. Like that younger aspect needed to come home to me because somewhere shame meant that I kind of pushed that away and it was still playing out at some level. And so I used about 10 different modalities. Like for me, modality is not necessarily what really moves it, just being present with the experience and being present with the part that went through. That's a starting point. But then I use EFT, I use compassion key, I use non-personal awareness.
Mm,
relations, like many different doorways into releasing
mm,
that trauma out of the body and psyche.
mhm. Beautiful. Yeah, beautiful, Clara.
Thank you.
And yeah, so where are your clients? If people want to come to you, how do we get in touch with you?
You can find me on the socials, but also I have a website, gularavincent.co.uk. You're welcome to get in touch and drop me a line. I always respond to everybody who reaches out. I work a lot with healers around visibility and attracting clients because I noticed that there are so many phenomenal healers out there. They're fantastic in what they do. But in terms of attracting the consistent flow of clients and making a good living, there's
Hmm.
some disconnect. And so I help a lot of people to come and experience what I do. And I've got a free experience coming up next week around client
Okay.
attraction. And so it
Mm.
might be a good time for people to come and say hello.
Okay. Yeah, wonderful. Yes. So there you are. Thank you so much for sharing this. It's
Yeah,
really of value and knowing there are ways to change these patterns and belief.
yeah,
So thank
absolutely.
you. Good
And
luck with your, yeah.
yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for having this conversation with me. And it's such a pleasure to explore this with you, but also share it with other people because oftentimes what's blocking people is not what they think it is. It's not, you're not lazy, you're not procrastinating, you're
Mhm.
not stuck. It's just there might be like attracting clients, for example, there might be some past life trauma around being persecuted. You don't even have to believe in past life. You just
Mhm.
think about witch hunts, right? Like if you are out there and you're woo-woo, people might come after you or judge you or criticize you, reject you. And in terms of like charging or asking for money, there might be so many ancestral stories of losing money or being expected to play small or hide and be invisible, right? There are just so many fascinating threads that it's hard to recognize and pull on without having this deeper understanding of where it's coming from. So a lot of healers feel rejected in their work, right? Like they put out the call and nobody's coming. But it
Mhm.
might be imprinted in the womb because, for example, if your mother conceived you and she wasn't ready for it, and the first reaction you got was, oh no, it can deeply imprint in the subconscious mind. And then you see it everywhere. And so to go
Mhm.
back and you can't change the history, but you can release the charge out of all those events so that then you can move forward with more ease.
Mm. This is quite moving, and also it's such good news that actually this can be changed, and it's just so fascinating with the human psyche and human nature, how
Absolutely.
we can actually transform ourselves, and often it happens with a little help.
There
So
are
good
so many.
luck with
Yeah.
your program and everything, and thank you so much for
Thank
this
you.
talk.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you.